Welcome to Warehouse Women, a podcast where we talk about commercial real estate, building businesses, and passive income, but most importantly, turning barriers into strengths. For our first episode, I have the pleasure of interviewing Brittany Arnason, or more commonly known as InvestorGirlBritt. So I've gotten a lot of questions from women about getting into commercial real estate. There seems to be this common misconception that there's some barriers to entry, or like you have to do something before you come into commercial. Did you feel that way, and is it true?
I 100% felt that way. I was so nervous to get into commercial real estate, but I spent so much time building up my single family home portfolio and so much energy, and it just wasn't making sense anymore. And the people that I started surrounding myself with after I started going to events and all that stuff, it just didn't make sense to continue on the single family home path. So this is actually after listening to a book, I remember, because it was Brian Murray's book, and he was talking about apartments and commercial real estate. And that book definitely changed my perspective. But after reading that book, it took 2 years before I got my first small multifamily property. But after taking over that property, I doubled my income and portfolio overnight with one deal. And then that completely changed everything for me. But it took 2 years of building up my courage to get to that point. But it did feel like there's this high barrier to entry. And I think it's just, we have so many limiting beliefs and self-doubt. And it does take consistent practice of doing certain tasks that build that confidence to get us to the point of being able to do those deals.
So tell me about this 2 years of courage that you were building up. What was that journey like?
Yeah, that was definitely making a lot of offers, analyzing a lot of deals, and then every time you do that, it just builds a little bit more confidence. And talking to, owners on the phone, trying to get them to do seller financing, stuff like that. Because the first time you do that, you're all sweaty, like, have to pump yourself up for 2 hours before the call. But after that amount of time, the right deal just came along and it made sense. But that was only because I put in so much work before then.
The courage that you had to make those calls, even though you were really nervous, and you put in 2 years of time doing this, and then you doubled your income overnight, essentially, with that one deal.
Yeah.
That is really inspirational. So you also mentioned that you went to events and you surrounded yourself with a certain type of people. Tell me a little bit more about that.
Yeah, and that was something that changed my entire life, because this is actually after I got that first deal. So I already had the first multifamily property. Or did I? Now I'm like, okay. I can't remember because it does happen so fast. But I got invited to a mastermind event, which I talk about all the time because it was an extremely pivotal moment. And maybe this one will be for you because we're at an event right now, which is so fun. But sometimes it's just meeting one person. And for me, that was AJ Osborne. And that shifted my entire direction. So because they were thinking such high level, everything that I was doing didn't even make sense because I was stuck I was a waitress for, 7 years, and I was making minimum wage, but plus tips, which was great. But I always thought, my income per hour didn't have to be that high because they'd always be like, value your time. I'm like, well, I can clean the house because it's basically making the same wage as I was before. So everyone starts at a different point. And I think until you surround yourself with other people that are thinking way higher level, then you start to believe that it's possible for yourself. But until you do that, it just seems way too far-fetched.
I completely understand how that is. This is actually my second year at this event with you because I came here last year, and it is what started my business. Like, I remember sitting on the bus on the way back from our rafting trip, and the entire week had just shifted my energy. And honestly, I feel like it has happened again this time around, that shift in energy. And my goal last year was like, I'm going to take action, So from this event, my company was born, the first one, and then this podcast came from the second event. So truly, these events are impactful, and honestly, especially the CRE Circle Live event. that is where it's at, in my opinion. I love the intimacy here. So thank you for putting that on. Okay, so you got your first commercial deal, your first multifamily. What did you do after that? What did life look like post deal number 1?
Yeah. Well, and before I answer that question, I really want to congratulate you, because so many people do go to these events and they don't do that, and they don't take action and build your team. You are doing so amazing, and I can't wait until to hang out with you again in a year from now and see how much more you progressed. But I just wanted to say congratulations on that. I don't want to blow past it, because I'm just really proud of you and everything that you've done in a short amount of time. So
thank you so much. I appreciate. That's one thing I love about women in real estate, especially commercial real estate. We're always supporting each other. I've never seen a group of women as supportive of each other as commercial real estate. You know, it's phenomenal to me.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and I do think, now I'm like trying to remember your last question, but no, I do think that the support is very important, because if you don't have that, it is a rough path. Like it is hard, and there's challenges nonstop. And I think just being there as women too in the industry, because there isn't a lot, to be honest. So we're quite there's a few, but you know, it's nice to know that, and you know that it's possible.
Yeah, actually, let's forget the last question, but tell me more about some of these challenges that you faced in general, and specifically maybe as a woman, and also what advantages have you had because of it?
Yeah, so challenges, there's some that it's a never-ending flow of challenges. It's like every deal I have done, and this kind of leads to your other question before too, because after buying that first multifamily, that was good. It felt, that one, no, it was very challenging. You almost literally forget how hard it was to get the deal done. And then you get the deal done, and then you get to the next deal, and then you remember it's really hard again. So that deal. And then what's been the easiest thing for me was when I partnered with AJ Osborne and Cedar Creek Wealth, and I'm on their team doing the marketing side of things, raising capital, doing all this stuff for them. But I'm in my own lane, and I'm doing what I love and what I'm good at, and then I'm able to work with that whole team that's already been set up. So that's been the easiest thing that I've done, which was kind of shocking. But the 7 years prior to that was on social media, growing my following, and then from there I was able to raise capital and do the marketing stuff and all of that. So I mean, that was good. And the difference there is I am sticking to my strengths, and when I'm doing my multifamily deals, I'm kind of doing everything. So until I started building the team, it's a totally different feeling. So I mean, the challenges though are there's a lot.
I believe it. I would love to hear more about you building your teams. Yeah. Right? Like I just built mine last year, and honestly, we're still working. Like we're growing our team. We're constantly improving and like expanding as well. So tell me about how building your team was for you.
Yeah. Building my team, I learned a lot from my mentors on how to do that, because I never expected myself to have a team or be a leader or be on stage or any of these things. I just really didn't think that was my personality. It wasn't me. I didn't want to be a leader. I was lone wolf. But then once I started to understand what my strengths were, that was the most important first step. Was understanding who I am, what my strengths are, what my goals are. And then from there, I could kind of build out, okay, this is what I need. This is what I'm terrible at. I need an integrator. I need a COO. And Brandon Turner was talking about this kind of progression from DIYer. And then you go up a step and it's project manager. And then you go up a step and it's COO. And then you go up a step and it's the architect, like the one who kind of oversees, and the person underneath them takes care of everything. So that's, for me, what was so cool about building a team, because you really only need one person underneath you to help build out the rest of it. And that's been cool. Even my marketing manager, Jade, she's able to be the head of that and be the executive person in that position, and she hires out under her, and she's interviewing the VAs, and she's doing all that for our editors, because I don't really want to be doing that. That's not a strength that I love. I also hired a company. This was the biggest thing for me, because I hired a company to hire my people, and so they found me so many amazing team members. They found me Jade, and they found me my integrator. They found me all these people, and they kind of acted in that integrator role to help build that all out. Because I didn't know what I was doing. I'm like, I don't know how to build a business. I don't know how to. It's great hearing AJ talk about it, and I could do that, but it's very time consuming, which is worth it, of course. But if I could bypass that a little bit, hire them to help me hire all these people, that's the direction that I went.
That's wonderful. And I can definitely speak to one of your strengths being coaching a mastermind, because that session you led for us in the VIP. Oh, so great. So great.
Well, I love hearing that. And I loved hearing your feedback with it too, and the value that came from it. And that's just coming from my own experience of doing events and what was really valuable for myself. And I think sometimes it's like you were saying today, you kind of already know the answer, but you just need to be asked and prodded the questions, and then eventually it comes to you. But we kind of already know what we need to do a little bit, but then we need these people around us to kind of bring it out of us.
So on that note, is there any type of coaching or what kind of support do you put around yourself? Or is it just the people that you meet at this conference, or like any conference that are exceptional that become your tribe? Like, how do you do it?
Yeah, that has been the biggest thing for me. I have paid for coaching, and I believe in that 100%. I buy every VIP event, and I was just at was it Ed Milet? It was both Ed Milet and Manny Koshman. They cost $10,000 each, and I went to both of them because I wanted to be in proximity with people. I'm like, let's be friends. So that's what I do, and that's why I did it. And that's how I met a lot of my support system, is through the events and just building these relationships. And then I feel if I am having a hard time, I can call them. And I have done that with even Brian Murray, who wrote the book Crushing It in Apartments and Commercial Real Estate, the one that got me into it. We're now great friends.
That's amazing. That is so cool.
Yeah, my last multifamily deal, I just call him, and I was like, Brian, what do you think of this deal? I'm not really sure about it. I was analyzing numbers with him. I'm like, I just don't know if it's worth my time. And he's like, well, Britt, what you could do is just zoom out. Like, I think you're getting too wrapped up in details of this one. Just zoom out. Is it going to be worth more or less in 10 years? And I was like, more. I'm like, for sure. Because the location was awesome. I got it under market value, all these things. And that, just him saying that one thing changed so much for me, because I did get wrapped up in details of this one. So having people like that around you, it's like one thing they say. And he came from, again, a mastermind event. So
that is really cool. So speaking of zooming out 10 years, what do you see for yourself in 10 years?
That's a great question. I guess we'll find out. I never have that question, because I never in my life would have expected to be where I am today 10 years ago or 5 years ago. It's interesting how life is, because I am very open and receptive, and just seeing what happens. I mean, I hope I can get married one day and have a family and things like that, but it's kind of not my timing, so we'll see when that happens. But besides that, like the real estate stuff, I really value over income, over the money, over all of that stuff. To me, it has been the relationships. So it's like the more people I can connect to and build cool stuff together, that's what I'm really passionate about. So that's my favorite part about the whole thing.
So how can people connect with you?
Great question. I'm mostly on Instagram at InvestorGirlBritt, and that's really where I hang out.
If you enjoyed this episode, please share it with a friend, and I'll see you next week.